Hello, my lovelies. It is time for round 85 of Have I Read It? So stay tuned. If you're new here, hi, hello, welcome. If you're not new here, welcome back. Have I Read It is one of my multiple TBR games that I play in order to help pick my TBR for the upcoming month. And the way this one works is you get to help pick my TBR. So I react to a haul from over 3 years ago, and I tell you if I've read the book, if I haven't read the book, or if I've unhauled the book. And out of all the books that I still own that I have not read in that haul, you get to vote on which book or books you would like for me to read in the upcoming month. And based on how many I have in my still own and have not read, will determine how many I have to pick. So if I have 1 through 9, then I have to pick the number 1 voted book. If I have 10 through 19, I have to pick the top 2 voted books, and so on and so on. So today we're going to be reacting to a book outlet haul that posted on January 22nd of 2021. So yeah, we're at this point, we're like almost 4 years in the past. But from this thumbnail, it looks as though it's going to be a very large box, or it could just be that I'm holding the box like where you're seeing just like the bottom or top of the box and it looks bigger than it actually is. Fingers crossed that's the case. Yeah, because I already have to pick the top 2 voted books from the last one, so let's hope I did better this time. Okay, so my earbuds are currently dead, so I'm having to use these little ones that I got from my flight. All right, let's get started.
Hey guys, it's Melanie. Welcome to my channel. Today I have a massive book outlet haul for you, so stay tuned. So as you may have seen from the thumbnail, I have a giant box of books that I ordered from Book Outlet. I went a little crazy with their clearance books, so I got a whole bunch for not a whole lot. So I'm just gonna dig right in and show you what all I got. Okay, we got some paper, and books. A lot of books. It's so much. My packing list, because I don't even call them a receipt anymore, my packing list is 2 pages. Okay, so there's quite a variety of stuff in here. I think most of it's for me. However, I did get a couple of things for Xander. All right, the first one I see on top here is actually a nonfiction, I don't know if you call it a self-help book or what, but it's Don't Tell Me What to Do, Just Send Money. The Essential Parenting Guide to the College Years. Because
I believe I've unhauled this. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I have. All right, next up.
Okay, next up is Hexed by Michelle Chris.
Okay, I feel like I unhauled that. I have to check though. I did unhaul that one. All right, next up.
Next up we have Runaway by Wendelin Van Dronen.
I have read this and still own it. Yay. Okay, next up.
Okay, so this next book seems to be part of a series, but the books can be read individually. It follows different characters. I think it's just kind of set in the same world, so you don't actually have to read them in order. That is Storm Chaser by Cherry Adair.
I don't know about this one. I feel like maybe I've unhauled it. No, it looks like I do still own this one. So this is our first one that you can vote for. This says, in the darkest storm, Nick, Logan, and Zane Cutter are a tight-knit, unstoppable force in the family treasure hunting business. Now that half-brother Jonah has arrived at the scene, he's got a lot to prove, and a powerful enemy who wants to stop him dead in his tracks. Love will find a way. A perilous sea journey, a bitter nemesis, a woman whose spectacular beauty and talents are to die for. Over and over, Jonah will be tested. Is he worthy of carrying the Cutter name? With his eyes on the prize, Jonah will fight with all his heart, but desire often comes with a price. So if you want me to read this, vote Storm Chaser. And Storm Chaser is all one word. All right, next up.
Okay, so this next book is actually part of a series, and I didn't realize that. I thought it was just 4 stories, but apparently it's 4 novellas. So this is technically book 1.5, and that is Primal by Laura Lee, Michelle Rowan, Jory Strong, and Ava Gray.
Okay, so as I said, this is part of a series, so I'm not sure if I have unhauled this or if I've gotten the first book. Okay, so for this one, I never got the other books in this series. So I think for this one, I'm going to go ahead and once I finish filming this, I'm going to unhaul Primal because I don't have book 1 and I'm not at this point not interested in getting book 1. So yeah, I'm just going to put Primal as unhauled. I'm going to write that down so I don't forget it. All right, next up.
Next up is Eat Brains Love by Jeff Hart.
I feel like I've unhauled Eat Brains Love, but I'm going to check. I did unhaul that one. All right, next up.
So this next book was one I thought I already owned, but I didn't have it on my shelves and I couldn't find it. There is a possibility that I do have it and it's packed somewhere that I just haven't found yet, but I know I was interested in it at one point and I'm still kind of interested in it. That is Two-Way Street by Lauren Barnholt.
I need to check on this one. I feel like I've unhauled it though. Okay, I have unhauled that one. All right, next up.
Okay, next up are the first 2 books in a series. This is the Internment Chronicles. So we have Perfect Ruin and Burning Kingdoms by Lauren DeStefano.
I feel like I have also unhauled these, but let me check. I have unhauled those both. All right, next up.
Okay, next up is Are You Experienced by Jordan Sonblick.
I feel like I have unhauled this one as well. No. It looks like I have not. I do still own it, and I have not read it. Let's see. This says, Rich is 15 and plays guitar. When his girlfriend asks him to perform at a protest rally, he jumps at the chance. Unfortunately, the police show up, and so does Rich's dad. He's in big trouble, again. To make matters worse, this happens near the anniversary of his uncle's death from a drug overdose years ago. Rich's dad always gets depressed this time of year, but whenever Rich asks questions about his late uncle, his dad shuts down. Frustrated by his dad's silence, Rich sneaks into his office and breaks into a locked cabinet that holds his dad's prized possession, an electric guitar assigned by Jimi Hendrix. Before he knows it, Rich is transported to the side of a road in upstate New York with a beautiful girl bending over him. It will take him a while to realize it's 1969. He's at Woodstock, and the girl's band of friends includes his 15-year-old dad and his uncle, who's still alive. What Rich learns, who he meets, and what he does could change his life forever. So if you want me to read this, vote Are You Experienced? Okay, next up.
Okay, next up is Game by Anders de la Mate. This is book 1 of the Game trilogy.
I feel like I still own this one, but I'm not certain. Okay, so I have unhauled actually that whole series. It looks like I had the whole trilogy, but I've unhauled it. All right, next up.
Okay, this next book is one that I got for Xander. That is Halo First Strike.
So that one was one that I got for Xander, so I'm just marking that one as unhauled. All right, next up.
Okay, next up is Lessons in Seduction by Sarah Bennett.
I feel like I have unhauled this one as well. Yes, I have unhauled that one. All right, next up.
Okay, next up is It Night or Day by Fern Schumer Chapman, and this is based on true events.
Okay, so this one I'm pretty sure I still own. I'm going to double check. Yes, I do still own this one. It's Is It Night or Day, a novel of immigration and survival, 1939 to 1942, by Fern Schumer Chapman. This says, it's 1938, and 12-year-old Edith is about to move from the tiny German village she's lived in all her life to a place that seems as foreign as the Chicago, Illinois. And she will be doing it alone. This dramatic and chilling novel about one girl's escape from Hitler's Germany was inspired by the experiences of the author's mother, one of 1,200 children rescued by Americans as part of the 1,000 Children Project. Okay, so if you want me to read this, vote, is it night or day? Really not doing too terrible. I mean, we're not quite halfway yet, but I only have 3 on here so far. So hopefully I can keep this up. All right, next up.
Oh, also in here is Bubble by Anders de la Mata, or De La Mate, and this is book 3 of the game trilogy.
Bubble is book 3 in that game trilogy, so that one has also been unhauled. Next.
Okay, next up is Spring Break by Kayla Perrin.
I feel like I've unhauled this one, but let me check. No, it looks like I do still own this one. Okay, this one says, with a breakneck pace and cat and mouse twist, Spring Break is the ultimate beach read. Help me. These are the last words Chantel hears from her friend Ashley in a static-filled phone call that soon goes dead. Their trip to the island paradise of Artula started the way any trip should, and soon Chantel and her friends find themselves in sun-drenched days and party-hopping nights. The vacation is not without its conflicts, however, and old rivalries and new jealousies come to light as the week passes. But no one expects things to turn as ugly as they do. No one expects that they won't all return, and no one expects that murder might be the ultimate souvenir. When Ashley disappears, the question is, was it a random act of violence? Or is something more sinister going on? And is Ashley really dead after all? So if you want me to read this, vote Spring Break. All right, next up.
Next we have The Two Hotel Frankfurts by David Leavitt.
I don't know. I don't know. Okay, this is one that I unhauled. All right, next up.
Okay, next up is You Don't Know Me by David Class.
I feel like I still own this one. I do. This says, moving, wholly involving, original, and emotionally true. You Don't Know Me is a multi-layered young adult novel that presents a winning portrait of an understandably angst-ridden adolescent. John, my father named me after a toilet, wrestles with the certainty that no one really knows him, not in his miserable home, and certainly not at school. It's true that no one can guess his hidden thoughts, which are hilarious, razor-sharp observations about lust, love, tubas, algebra, and everything. And then there's his home. His father ran off years ago, so he's being raised by his mother who works long hours, and by her boyfriend whom John calls the man who is not and never will be my father. This man is his enemy, an abusive disciplinarian who seems to want to kill John, and in a horrible final confrontation, nearly succeeds. So if you want me to read this, vote You Don't Know Me. All right, next up.
Okay, next up is Renegade by J.A. Souders. And it's funny because it looked like it was a picture on here, but it's actually, even the person is illustrated. I
don't know. I do still own this one. This one says, Since the age of 3, 16-year-old Evelyn Winters has been trained to be the daughter of the people in the underwater utopia known as Elysium. Selected from hundreds of children for her ideal genes, all her life she's thought that everything was perfect. Her world, her people, the law. But when Gavin Hunter, a surface dweller, accidentally stumbles into their secluded little world, she's forced to come to a startling realization. Everything she knows is a lie. Her memories have been altered, her mind and body aren't under her own control, and the person she knows as Mother is a monster. Together with Gavin, she plans her escape, only to learn that her own mind is a ticking time bomb, and Mother has one last secret that will destroy them all. So if you want me to read this, vote Renegade. All right, next up.
Okay, this next one is actually a standalone companion to another book. So I think you can read this by itself since it says standalone companion. I don't have the other book. So that is The Watcher by Joan Hyatt Harlow.
I can't remember if I kept this one or not. Okay, I do still own this one. This says, after Wendy is kidnapped by her own mother, the only way she can survive wartime Germany is with the help of a special dog and the family she never knew she had in this her historically accurate standalone companion to Shadows on the Sea. 1942, Berlin, Germany. How did Wendy end up in such a place? Just a few months ago, she was enjoying her time in Maine supporting the American war effort. But she was kidnapped, then betrayed by her own mother, who is actually a Nazi spy. As a new Berliner and now a German, Wendy is expected to speak in a language she's never known and support a cause she doesn't believe in. There are allies, though, among the Germans, allies who have been watching over Wendy since she arrived, and Wendy, along with her new German Shepherd puppy, must confront them if only she can find them. Her life depends on it. So, if you want me to read this, vote The Watcher. I may have spoken too soon earlier because we're now at 7 books. And we're only like right at the halfway point. All right, next up.
Next up we have Anywhere But Here by Tanya Lloyd Kai.
I'm not sure about this one. I have unhauled that one. All right, next up.
Okay, next up is Quintessence by David Walton.
I feel like I read this. I do know that I had more than one book called Quintessence. Okay, no. It was the other book, the one by Jess Redman, that I did read. This one by David Walton, I actually unhauled. All right. Get this back in my ear. All right, next up.
Okay, next up is The Three by Sarah Lotz.
I don't know about this one either. I have unhauled that one. Next up.
Next up we have Last to Know by Elizabeth Adler.
I feel like I might have read this one, but I'm not sure. If I did, I don't remember. Let me see. No, it doesn't look like I read it, but I did unhaul it. So, next up.
Next up we have The Furies by Mark Alpert.
I feel like I have unhauled this one. I did. All right, next up.
Next up we have What Doesn't Kill Her by Carla Norton.
I'm not sure about that one. A lot of these that I'm not sure about, I've either unhauled or a lot of them are in my closet in my guest room. Not the ones that I see on the regular, so I forget about them. Okay, so this one I do still own, but it looks like it's the second book in a series, so I'm going to look. This is the second book, and you do need to, I think, read the first book in this. I don't own it, but I am interested. So I'm going to put the first book on the list for you to vote for. If that's the one that ends up winning, I will either get the book or the audiobook or go to the library or something and find it. So the first book in this series is called The Edge of Normal. So that's what you would vote for if you wanted me to read this. This says, in many ways, Reeve LeClaire looks like a typical 22-year-old girl. She's finally landed her own apartment, she waitresses to pay the bills, and she wishes she wasn't so nervous around new people. She thinks of herself as agile, not skittish, as serious, not grim. But Reeve is anything but normal. 10 years ago, she was kidnapped and held captive. After a lucky escape, she spent the last 6 years trying to rebuild her life, a recovery thanks in large part to her indispensable therapist, Dr. Ezra Lerner. But when she asks her to help another girl rescued from a similar situation, Reeve realizes she may not simply need to mentor this young victim. She may be the only one who can protect her from a cunning predator who is still out there watching every move. From the author of the #1 nonfiction bestseller, Perfect Victim, The True Story of the Girl in the Box, comes a novel that draws you into a chilling and engrossing world with a masterful plot, twists, and shifting points of view that make it as irresistible as Gone Girl. Carla Norton's The Edge of Normal is a stunning debut thriller. So if you want me to read this, vote The Edge of Normal. All right, next up.
Next up, we have Arclight by Jocelyn L. McQueen, and this cover is really cool.
I feel like that's one that I unhauled. Actually, it looks like I still own this one. So, let's see. This says, no one crosses the wall of light except for one girl who doesn't remember who she is, where she came from, or how she survived. A harrowing, powerful debut thriller about finding yourself and protecting your future, no matter how short and uncertain it may be. The Arclight is the last defense. The Fade can't get in. Outside the Arclight's borders of high-powered beams is the dark, and between the light and the dark is the gray, a narrow, barren no-man's land. That's where the rescue team finds Marina, a lone teenage girl with no memory of the horrors she faced or the family she lost. Marina is the only person who has ever survived an encounter with the Fade. She's the first hope humanity has had in generations. But she could also be the catalyst for their final destruction, because the Fade will stop at nothing to get her back. Marina knows it. Tobin, who's determined to take his revenge on the Fade, knows it. And Marie, who just wishes it were all over, knows it. When one of the Fade infiltrates the Arclight and Marina recognizes it, she will begin to unlock secrets she didn't know she had. Who will Marina become? Who can she never be again? So if you want me to read this, vote Arclight. So we have now reached 9 on the list. So if we get even one more, then I'll have to pick the top 2 books. All right, next up.
Then we have Hanging by a Thread by Sophie Littlefield. And it says, obey your talent at the top.
I don't know about this one. Okay, so that's one that I unhauled. All right, next up. Okay, sorry if there was an angle change. It's actually, hold on, let me see. It is 2.5 hours later. My mom called and stayed on the phone for 2.5 hours. So, okay, let's get back to this. All right, continuing on.
Next we have Oracle by Gina Rosati. And it says, an out-of-body experience goes terribly wrong.
I have unhauled Oracle. All right, next up.
Okay, the next 2 books are the first 2 books in a series. I think the first one came out in 2014. The second one came out in 2015. But books 3 and 4 on Goodreads, they just say to come. So I guess they're not out yet. But it's been 5 years since the last book. So I don't know if we're going to get a conclusion to this or not. We'll see. But the first 2 books are Lark Rising and Silver Eve. These are the first 2 books in the Guardians of Tarnak series.
Okay, I feel like those are ones that I have unhauled. Yes, I have unhauled those. All right, next. Oh, also, the sequels to that, the books 3 and 4, they still say to come, so I don't think they're coming. All right, next up.
So the next 2 books I have in here, they are, well, they're kind of combo books. So each of these 2 books has 2 books in it. So really it's 4 books altogether. And they are books 3, 4, 5, and 6 of a series. I do believe, though I'm not 100% sure, I do believe I have the other bind up of book 1 and 2 of this series. I think it's just packed up still. But these are beasts of books. So we have the Rebellion and the Dream Trails. So in the Rebellion, it has books 3 and 4 of the Obernewton Chronicles. The books are called Ashling and the Keeping Place. And for 5 and 6, we have Wave Song and the Stone Key.
Okay, I don't know. I feel like maybe I still have these. Okay, I do. I think this is in here somewhere. Hold on. Okay, I'm not sure where it is right offhand. Because I do have books blocking the view of other books. But I do have it marked on Goodreads as owned. And I don't think I would have unhauled it. So the first one of these bind ups that I have is called The Seeker, and that's actually book 1 and 2 of the Obernewton Chronicles. So we have Obernewton and the Far Seekers. Okay, so for the actual first book, Obernewton, it says, for Elspeth Gordy, freedom is like so much else after the Great White, a memory. It was a time known as the Age of Chaos. In a final explosive flash, everything was destroyed. The few who survived banded together and formed a council for protection. But people like Elspeth, mysteriously born with powerful mental abilities, are feared by the council and hunted down like animals to be destroyed. Her only hope for survival is to keep her power hidden. But is secrecy enough against the terrible power of the council? So, if you want me to read this, vote The Seeker. And I'll, I guess, read the bind up of the first 2 books. So that actually puts us at, because I haven't read either of those 2, that puts us at 11. So I do now have to pick the top 2 voted books. So there's that. All right, continuing on. Oh, that's everything. That is it. I have 11 that I still have not read. So here's what you have for voting. You can vote for Storm Chaser, Are You Experienced, Is It Night or Day, Spring Break, You Don't Know Me, Renegade, The Watcher, The Edge of Normal, Arclight, or The Seeker. So comment down below which book or books you would like me to read in the upcoming month. And like I said, I'll pick the top 2 voted books. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give me a big thumbs up. If you'd like to see more videos like this, click that subscribe button down below. And until next time, remember to always be completely you. Bye!